Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Explore the Extraordinary podcast. My name is Betty Guadagno. Today, I'm joined by Danielle, my very dear friend, and I'm so excited to have you on. Danielle is going to be one of the co-hosts of the podcast, so I'm excited to introduce her to our YouTube family. And yeah, Danielle and I met, it's been a couple of years now, I believe, and just through the divine and through synchronicity, and have discovered that, we're members of the same soul tribe and we have so many similar experiences. And I'm excited that you're here and that you're willing to be open and honest and share about some of those experiences today.
Yes. And I'm so grateful for you and the experience that I've had with meeting you on this journey, because I've gotten to a place and makes me want to cry. It gives me chill bumps, makes me want to cry, because there was this place in my life, like where I had this experience and I knew like this truth and I was remembering these things, and I wasn't able to feel comfortable enough to talk to a lot of people about it because I thought I was absolutely out of my mind. I was like, this sounds nutty. This doesn't make any sense, and ever since I've met you, Betty, I've been able to get to this place where like I can share more openly about it and I can live more in the authenticity of it without being ashamed of like, no, this is who I am. And I don't want to cover it up for what they say I have to be. Like, this is what I remember. I don't want to look at it as mental or crazy. Like, this is my truth and there's nothing wrong with that, So I'm super grateful for you as well.
Oh my goodness. I love that. So, okay. So I know a little bit about Danielle, so I'm going to probe some questions. So Danielle, you had a near-death experience. Is that right?
I did. When I was, I was 15. I was 15 and I was in a terrible wreck. I was the passenger. I don't know why I always have to make sure everybody knows that I was the passenger of it. But I was the passenger and it flipped head over tail into a 12-foot ditch. And we landed back on the top. And when we landed, my seatbelt had come undone. I had got thrown around, but still like inside of the vehicle by the shoulder. And that was when I left. And when I say when I'm having conversations here, especially with you, it's like, because what is the I, And so as I'm talking to you right now, I'm talking as the energy through Danielle, which here recently has really integrated into this human vessel as a whole. So I just want to clarify in that, but like there was this point, where I did leave, there was a cease in the life force of Danielle, but it must have been very minimal. And I'm not really sure on the science of that. But that was when the energy behind Danielle, Elle walked in. And I didn't remember for years after it happened. All I know is that after it did happen, when I was 15, I completely changed, and everybody around me noticed that there was a huge personality change. And I couldn't make sense of this world. I'm almost like about to start crying because I'm so grateful that I can talk about this and it not be shunned or turned away, because for the longest time I would try and talk to people about it and they were like, no, don't do that. Or I would go to the doctor. I'd be like, this isn't me. Like, and they were like, oh, dissociative disorder. Like, there's something wrong with you. And it's like, no, there's nothing wrong with it. But yeah, so that is when Elle walked in, and I used to say dropped into this body, but I feel like it just came in. I just came in, and I was always trying to explain for the longest time. I was like, I came from the side. I came from over here, and I don't know what to like how to put that into context for you. And then it came to me one day. It was like, well, the side is parallel. And I was like, oh my gosh, I literally came from a parallel, like reality, a parallel realm, because there's so many existing everywhere, right?
Right. Okay, so before we go any further, I want to, for clarification, there's some people who might watch this and they don't have any idea what we're talking about. Like, I want to try to make it as digestible as possible. So you're a walk-in soul.
Yes.
Can you explain what that is?
Yes. So there was a soul that inhabited this vessel. Danielle does have this DNA that is able to house these certain energies. And so it inhabited this vessel up into a point when at 15, when the wreck happened, the soul before this soul parted and went back. Its job was done. It needed the rest that it needed. And then Elle walked in. So, and it is kind of hard to explain because there's not a lot, and I don't have a lot of words to be able to explain something like that. But it's what happened. It's my experience. And I didn't remember any of that until later on in life. But yes, so there was a soul, and I call her Crystal because when I was younger, I would look in the mirror and I would tell my mom, I would be like, hey, like that's not me. And she was like, what do you mean? That's your reflection. I was like, no, that's not me. Like that's Crystal. Like I'm Crystal. And so my family for the longest time would say that was my imaginary friend. And so I just kind of went along with it because, like, I don't know, it didn't make any sense. I don't know how to explain it. But it got to the point where the egoic part of Danielle and Crystal kind of won over, and that soul's job was just done. And it did leave. And I guess, like Danielle, what the energy of Danielle, like the DNA part of Danielle, was able to be a candidate to house the other energy of Elle who comes through now when I walked in.
So yeah, some of the information that I understand about walk-in souls is exactly what you're saying. I sort of envision it as like a relay team, like for track. Is that what it's called? Like where you pass off the baton. So there's your original soul, and then usually based on like a traumatic event, like a near-death experience or something, and some sort of outer body experience, the second soul will step in to carry out the rest of the life's mission.
Yes.
So yeah, I love this. This is very unique, but it's something that I'm hearing more and more about. And I think that has a lot to do with the Great Awakening. There's a certain set of souls that have decided to come here for this specific event. So I want to see if you're willing to talk about sort of what that transition was like to your remembrance.
Yes, absolutely. And I believe a lot of us are not remembering until here recently. I don't know for whatever reason that is. But I had an activation in 2017 with the solar eclipse, August 21st, 2017, when the solar eclipse came across the United States. Everything went dark in the middle of the day. And that was when everything unlocked within me, like all of the memories of my ancient galactic roots, like all of the memories of the walk-in, everything just flooded in. And to be completely honest, it was extremely overwhelming and a little traumatic at the time because I was like, I've lost my mind. Like I am just like, I'm out of my mind, so it was like, and there was a gap. There was about a 17-year gap between when I walked in to when all of a sudden I remembered, like, whoa, like this is what we're doing here. This is what we have to do. Like we're on mission. I'm late. Like I gotta move. And so when those memories did flood in, it's absolutely beautiful, to be completely honest. And it was hard at the time because I didn't have a Betty to come and be like, hey, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? It was just like I was telling other people. And so I had the memory of it's like I was reporting for duty, and because I'm a visitor here. I'm a visitor in this realm on this planet. It's a little hard to explain because we're not just talking about the physical third dimensional thing. Some of us will be called volunteers. But I ended up reporting for duty. And there was I just remember this big, this big ball looking thing, but it wasn't a ball. And there's not a lot of human vocabulary, like words that I'm going to be able to express here, but I reported for duty and I was ready to do this. I'm like, like this is what I'm doing and I'm excited to do this. And there were these other beings, these other light beings, like standing around. And they seemed like elders. They seemed like if we were in an ancient culture, like a human ancient culture, like what we would perceive to be like an elder. They had an elder energy about them. And so I was reporting, I'm like, I'm ready to do this. And then I can see pictures of Danielle, but they're not pictures, and like videos, but they're not videos. And it wasn't so you know how when people die, they're like, I saw my life flash before my eyes. It was like, that's not what happened. Like I saw the things like that I'm experiencing now. I saw the like the life plan of Danielle happening. And so it was like I was agreeing upon these, and I was like, it was almost like it was a map, like, oh, here we are, here, this is, and I was like, okay. But they were like moving pictures. It's really hard to explain exactly. I can see it in my mind's eye right now.
You're doing wonderful. You're using great imagery. It's
wonderful. Okay, good. Right.
I'm getting it. Yes.
Okay, good. So I saw that, and then I came in, and what I'm noticing now is some of the deja vus that I'm having, and I know a lot of people experience them too. They'll say, oh, it's just nothing. It's just like a deja vu. What do you mean it's nothing? Like, just because you can't explain it doesn't mean it's nothing. Just because we have all these 12 strands of DNA and we're only like using 3 or 5 or whatever doesn't mean the rest of the DNA is junk DNA. Like, what do you mean? And so that's when all those memories flooded in, and I started to speak, with the light team, the cosmos. I started to hear and communication. I started to kind of understand like a light language that started to come in also, which is wild. And I was able to communicate with like nature was communicating with me. And I was like, stop, like this is too much. And then I just gave in. So yeah, that was
I love this. So, recently I was asked this question, and I feel like this might be something that I turn into like my token question. But so you're talking about seeing the team, them showing you your life, this whole map being played out. And I'm curious if now that you're here and that you have this information and you've integrated it, do you feel like this was an informed decision that you made to come here?
Yes. No hesitation. Absolutely, I do. Do I have any clue about that informed decision? Not so much. It plays out, it plays out in my reality all the time. But yes, absolutely. Without hesitation, I knew what I was doing. And I was ready to do it.
So what are some of the tools that you use to integrate this experience? I heard you talk about volunteers. That sounds like Dolores Cannon's literature. Is that something that you use as a tool?
That was actually when I heard her talk about the volunteers, I bawled my eyes out. It makes me almost want to cry right now because it resonated so much. And I'm so grateful for that hint. To activate that memory within my being, within my subconscious, to be able to come forward, because I was like, that's me, and then I would hear other people, like, it was like all of a sudden different, things like that. People would say homesick, and I would have this other aching of a homesick, you know what I mean? So it was like, it wasn't something that I was really incorporating into my life as much as it was being incorporated into my life for me, So the tools that it's wild, because the tools that have helped me have been given to me more than I've sought after or had to take and find for myself. It's just being aware of them, and I didn't even have to be aware of them after the activation. I was just like, all of a sudden these things had these like layers of encoded frequencies in them that helped me remember more of what I was doing here, or activate whatever needed to be activated so I could pursue the mission that I had agreed upon pursuing.
What are some of the other pieces of literature that came into your awareness that you use as tools?
Oh, okay. So the Course in Miracles, that's been huge. That's been one. I am the type of person where I love the Course in Miracles. I pick it up and I get into it, and then I put it down for a year, and then I pick it up again. I get into it, and then I put it down for a couple of months. I pick it up. That's been a great map for me. I absolutely love Dolores Cannon. I was reading, oh, I can't remember. It's a new one. It's got Jesus on it. I love Jesus. Absolutely adore Jesus, especially after being in the Course in Miracles and seeing that different perspective on that. I'm like, I can get down with that instead of what society has told me I had to believe, like the religious views. So, what else? Eckhart Tolle. That's something else that when I read, I integrate, I put that down, I pick back up. The New Earth, that was a big one. I don't, there's a couple other ones. 12-step literature. Love that too. I've got a couple books on Reiki. So that was something that happened for me after my activation, was that, they told me, and I say they, and it was like these angelic beings, because I talk with angels. I called them in before we even started this. They told me I needed to do Reiki. I was going to do Reiki. I was going to be a Reiki master. And I was like, I don't even know what Reiki is. Like, what do you mean? Tell me more. So, I follow the International, Center for Reiki. And that's been huge. And I've realized that I'm like an energy advisor, like an energy mentor, which is really cool, because I didn't know that about myself until here recently, and the new job that I've acquired. But yeah, those are some. The other tools I pick up is like, we have our, and I don't know if I'm allowed to put it on here, but we have our spiritual seekers meeting, and it's on Zoom, and I don't always get to attend, but that has been huge for me, to be able to come out and say, this is who I am, and to stop hiding, being able to find the community, and I know that we are placed all like strategically in different geographical locations to support the crystalline earth grid, like Betty's over here, me and Liz are here. We've got Lorelai over there. We've got Jelani over here. We've got, everybody, Julie, like all these people, and Robin, all of our friends, that's been huge, because it's helped me become more empowered and more confident in saying, hey, this is my truth. Just because like you don't experience it or you don't understand it doesn't mean that it's not right for me, doesn't mean that it's not true for me, and having people who may not have had the same experience, but have had other ones to be like, you know what, I believe you, because I believe you, period.
Yeah.
And so that has been huge.
So let me ask you about, what's the balance like in your life? Like, obviously you've had these very profound spiritual experiences. You're talking about finding some of your spiritual tribe and coming out of that spiritual closet. What is your regular human life like?
Oh, so my human life, I'm just now been like integrated fully into this vessel, and grounded into this vessel. And so I'm just now allowing myself to settle in more into the human experience. I've had one foot in the 3D realm and the other foot in the clouds and the cosmos, for a while. So it's not easy, for the balance. I make sure to stay, like I go with meetings and stuff. I stay connected with other human beings. I go to work like I'm supposed to. I have a home, like I pay my bills, that is the humanity of it. But otherwise, like I'm always doing, anything that I can. Yoga, I'm doing affirmations. I'm constantly in this other place. And so to stay grounded, I have this one friend, her name's Joanna, and she helps keep me grounded, because I'm very much up here all of the time. I don't know if I'm allowed to put anybody's names out there, but I just did. So I apologize. I don't think they're going to care, but like, that she is like very grounded. So I have like people like that in my life, and like Liz or whoever, like that, it's in my life that keeps me grounded to this earth plane, that know like they're showing up, they're awakening, and they know that like that's part of their mission, is like, of course we're here to help each other, but I've got to have somebody else keep me here just as much, because I'm the type that's kicking and screaming, being like, I don't understand this place, And so, the balance, I don't know, I hope that answered that question.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's great.
Okay.
Just painting a picture of what your life is like as an
Oh.
experiencer. So, okay. So, you've had these really profound experiences. It sounds like you have a connection to your guides and to your angels. Do you have language for it? What do you call them? What's your connection like?
My goodness, my connection, they're here right now. Oh, what is my connection like? It's divine, it's beautiful, it's constant. It's constant. That's why sometimes I think I have a hard time connecting with human beings, is because I'm always connected. I'm more connected with them. And I'm really working on that. But they are constantly with me, protecting me. I just had the other day, I found out I had these wolves around me. Which is really cool. But they're like European wolves and not Native American wolves. Cause I was trying to figure that out. I was like, where are you guys from? But they're like there to protect me as well. The language, I have a language that I speak with source, sometimes. And I usually end up crying, during it. And it's very healing. And it's what I've come to find is light language. And, it's so like, and it's so beautiful. And I can't, like, sometimes I ended up the other day. I was talking to somebody, and I went up to give somebody a hug, and I ended up accidentally speaking light language to this person who has no idea, and then I tried to stop, but I ended up, when I was like, I'll correct it by speaking like human, words. And instead I spoke more light language, and I just ran away. I was like, I gotta go. It's like, I'm so like, I haven't talked to them since, I don't think that they would even have they probably wouldn't even mind, or they may not have even noticed. But so I have that. I also have, I communicate better energetically. Like that's just the type of person there's that identity. But it's just it's the way that I communicate best is energetically, like and telepathically. Like I get a lot, like today I was like, source, where are we? And he was straight, it was straight in my head, instead of, sometimes it's to my heart, but it's whatever I need during that day.
So I'm curious, there might be some people that are watching that haven't had experiences, and they're wondering how to connect to their angels and their guides. Do you have any suggestions?
Absolutely. So the first thing to do is just to acknowledge, like, we have gone our entire lives ignoring the presence of these divine beings. Like, this is all that exists, because, and I understand, like, there's a lot to the unknown that's kind of scary. And so we push it away. And then there's also a lot where, like, if you're talking to yourself, or if you're talking out loud and there's nothing there, like, you need medicine or something. So I get like the fear around it. But the number one thing to start out with is just to acknowledge. And that's what I did. I just like, hey, and this is what I'll tell other women when I'm helping them. Like, you just give them a just shout out. Hey man, what's up? I'm glad you're here. Just something to initiate the communication, because sometimes that's all they want. Like, if you can imagine, and angels don't have egos, but if you can imagine going your entire, like, this entire lifetime being ignored, like, just so, like, hey, how you doing? Like, hey, you're there. It's like, oh, wow. And that's something that can just continue to build. So at first it's a little awkward. For me, it wasn't as awkward. I know for a lot of other people it wasn't as awkward for me, because they were constantly, hey, because I had that whole, like, they were like, you either got to do this or you're going to exit. Like, we're done here. It's time for you to do something, So yeah, just initiating some sort of communication, just a hey, and then being aware of when they're talking to us. Because that's the thing, is like, for me, I have my own personal way of how they communicate. There's a lot of times they come through numbers. Like, I have a conscious contact through numbers, 37, 1144, 144, 14, 73. I'm starting to see 39. And that has a lot to do with Betty. And I was like, whoa, because I saw 37, 39 a lot. I was like, whoa, like, something cool is happening, So there's a way that they communicate like that. And then there's also ways, and we kind of, like, when they communicate, sometimes we just brush it off. Like, there's a lot of times that I'll be sitting here and, like, okay, my lights will flicker or whatever. which I don't think everybody's lights flicker all the time, but whatever, but I'll be sitting here and I'll ask a question and then I'll get like a flicker of the light and I'll be like, that was just a flicker of the light. It's like, no, like, why are we discounting what they're trying to do here? Like, they want to communicate. We are in this mass awakening where we are coming online and there's other things and it is the unknown and we can't see them in the physical realm, but like they want our attention. That's all. That's all they want. They want our attention. They're going to help us no matter what, whether we want to be aware or not. But giving our attention is just the best way to initiate the conversation or type of communication than being aware of like, how does this feel when this synchronicity or this number comes in or whatever? Like, how does that feel? Does it feel like something's talking? Yes. If it feels like it, do not discount it. Do not discount it. And I think a lot of us, I know for a long time, and like my ego can still come in and I'll be like, no, that wasn't anything. I was like, no, that's everything. Like, yeah.
I love that. So yeah, on the subject of numbers and signs that they come to us in, I think that you have a really cool story about feathers. I would love for you to share that.
Okay. So I am an ex-convict. Just gonna tell you guys, hello. I'm also an ex-gang affiliate, and I'm a recovering addict. So I used to be on drugs. Just putting that out there. That's why this personality change is so like profound and significant and has nothing to do with me. That's why it's like, no, I know I'm supposed to talk about source here. I know I'm supposed to, but hey, this is going on. But I had been, on drugs for a really long time, violent offender. I was hospitalized once for rage, just all of these things, which is wild because I'm completely different today. But I had been in and off of the Appalachian Trail. And I started to feel like there was something happening, but not just within, like, I knew there was something happening within me, but there was like a change shifting within reality. And I had just gotten to the point where I was completely just empty inside, and nothing else was, the drugs and the old behaviors and all of this just wasn't, of course it wasn't working, but it was done. Like there was nothing more, and this is such a sacred story. And so I was dying. I had gone into organ failure, and like I said, I had been in and off of the Appalachian Trail and I had my activation. And so during this personality change, where I was around all the other people where they were doing drugs and they were doing all the things, right? And I was like, no, we're supposed to love one another. And they're like, who are you? Who are you? And so I ended up talking. That's when, nature started communicating with me and I started to listen, and the angels, Michael, especially Archangel Michael, Mikael, was coming in and he was talking. And then I heard like the tree and all of this. And I got the message that I was done, and I had a choice that I could either exit or I could continue and walk in the light. And when I say exit, that's what I say with when people like humans cease to exist or cease, like the life force leaves them, death. That's the best way to explain death, right? And so when I got this choice, I was like, I'm scared. And this is really great that you're talking to me. And it's really wonderful that I can see light around people and that it's auras. And, it's great that, I'm understanding and that I'm seeing the synchronicities, but when I go and I tell other people about this, like they can't see what I'm experiencing. And so I feel absolutely out of my mind. I feel crazy, and I feel nuts because I can't prove it, and so I'll believe you. I'll do whatever you say, big light, do whatever you say. But I hear that angels appear. Wait, what is it? Feathers appear when angels are near. Feathers appear when angels are near. Yeah, that's what I told them. I said, I heard that feathers appear when angels are near. And so if you could bring me, oh, this is such an amazing, so if you could just bring me a feather, because I can touch a feather, like I can hold a feather. I can't hold all this energy things that I'm seeing. I can't grasp on and hold on to what's happening. And if you bring me that, then I'll do whatever you want me to do, And I went back, and the next day I went out on this trail, and in the middle of the trail, I walked a little bit out and I was by myself, and in the middle of the trail was a pile of feathers, and I dug down, like I dropped down on my knees and I dug through the feathers. I was like, "Where's the body? We gotta find the body! Like, what is this?" And there wasn't a body, and so I gathered all of the feathers and I went to the cedar tree, and I was like, okay, but this could be a coincidence. There's that thing where our ego is like, no, this isn't real. I just talked to this thing and was like, hey, like, bring me a feather. And then there's a pile. And I was like, hey, but this could be a coincidence. So if you'll give me one more feather tomorrow, or just whatever, the next time you give me a feather, then I'll do whatever, like I'm making a deal with the all knowing, like, whatever. I don't know who I am. And so I go back, and I think I made a dream catcher that night with the feathers. And then I go back out on the trail the next day. But I went out on a completely different trail, and there was another pile of feathers. And of course I dove down on my knees, but this time I was like, what do you want me to do? Like, what do you need me to do? Because there's no way, and so feathers are huge for me. I grabbed those up, I gathered them, and I heard that I was to go stand with a strong back, open heart, and speak my truth. Which was very hard and still can be sometimes, because when I came back and started speaking my truth, nobody wanted to be around me anymore. They were like, what is she talking about? And I was like, yeah, I was just talking with Michael, and I'm seeing all these sparkles everywhere. And they were like, who is Michael? And I'm like, the archangel, they're like, what are you saying? So my entire friends changed, places, all of the things just changed. And for the first 2 or 3 years of I've been clean for a couple of years now, I was just guided by feathers all of the time, everywhere, and that was, when I would see a feather, I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is where I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So I have feathers all over my house. I have this divine cat that came in though. And so I'm like, we have debates over don't touch my feathers. But yeah, feathers have been, that was the turning point when I finally had something that I could grasp in my hand. Because think about it, if you're going around, this is where I was, I'm telling people I can see this light around you. I'm seeing sparkles right now. People are going to look at me like I'm crazy. And I started to think I was absolutely out of my mind. I can't explain this, how, and so when I got that tangible evidence, I was like, all right, what are we doing? You're running the show.
Yeah. I think that for a lot of people, myself included, I need the tangible. I need to be able to touch and feel and know. So I have a quick feather story that I want to share. I'm also in recovery. And, my life after coming into spiritual awareness, after my own awakening, my life really transformed pretty quickly. And, I was in treatment, and I went to school, I got certified, I got a job in the recovery field, and I applied for a job and I got it. And I was so excited, and it was my first day of work. And, I had so many nerves. I have never been a productive member of society before. This was my first day of being a new version of myself. And, so I was very distracted the whole day with just very human things, even though I knew that I had gotten that job because of divine guidance.
Yes.
So on my way home from work, I said, oh, wow, I didn't notice any feathers today, but I guess I wasn't really paying attention to any of the signs anyway. And right as I had that thought, a man walked past me with a huge feather tattoo on his arm.
Yes.
It was wild. And I just thought,
Yes.
wow, I am guided. I know it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I love that. But yeah, I've had lots of tangible evidence of something bigger going on in my life. And for
Mhm.
me, one of the things that's really the proof is being able to connect with other spiritual people in my life, being able to find the tribe. So can you maybe share a little bit about what that experience has been like for you so far?
Oh my goodness, I just rocked everything. That was not easy either. None of this has been easy, by the way. But coming into being around a lot of people for the longest time who didn't understand me, or not just that they didn't understand me, because sometimes people still don't, but like didn't accept maybe or weren't ready to hear like what I was saying, was difficult because I had a lot to say and I had a lot of experiences I wanted to share. And so there was this huge shift, and it's only been over the past like few years that's really happened to where I've come into this place where now like I am surrounded by a strong and supportive community. And so my soul group, my soul tribe, is that's all we are. We operate not from talking from the ego or the person, but from the spirit, and we're able to connect spirit like through the spirit instead of like through this realm. And that's what's been huge for me. That's been what's happening here recently. I'm noticing I was telling people for the longest time about these solar flares that we're having because the sun is changing. And it's been scientifically proven that when we have the geomagnetic storms, that they actually do change our DNA. And we've had a lot of X-class flares lately. And we're having all this going on. And I've been trying to share about it with all these people for a really long time. And then I just started having in the past like year and a half, 2 years, people who are coming in who are like, yeah, this is happening, and I'm like, whoa, who are you? Like, I'm spending all this time to the point where there was one person who came up to me, and it was a man, and he came up to me, and I had just shared about something. And he came up to me after I got done, and he started talking to me about frequencies and 432 hertz. And it was to the point where I thought he was making fun of me. So I didn't give him like, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, like, and just kind of shied away, like, oh, okay, yeah, because I'm so used to people, telling me that I'm out of my mind, and I like pushed him away for a couple of months because I was like, there's no way that somebody could be sharing this interest, and not just this interest, but this awareness. And that has been huge for me too. And that's also been very grounding for me to be able to get grounded into this reality, to know that there are other people out there that are like us, that do have not just these same interests, but that operate and see the world through the lens of spirit instead of just the human. That's been really huge. I have all of my friends, I don't know that I have any people. I mean, of course I have acquaintances, and if people need help or anything, I'll help them. But like, I don't really have conversations with anybody anymore that aren't like, on the same, not the same frequency, but the same, like, I don't want to say vibe, but they're on the same like plane of existence, and we all like exist simultaneously together in this realm. But there's like, we may be in the same place, but we may not be on the same frequency. You know what I mean? And so I am just completely surrounded today by people who, because before I got into this, it shifted and I had this that was available, this community that's been available, there were a lot of people that were like, that would tell me like, no, or they called me crazy. People called me crazy. That was hard, and that was just 5 years ago. That was 4 years ago, where people were calling me crazy. And some people were either scared of me or they made fun of me. And I thought that there was something wrong with me because I was the way that I was. And I was like, I don't know how else to be anymore. I'm not covering it up with drugs, and I'm not going to try and like do anything, different. And so coming into this place where I get to freely be me, my most like authentic self, like that is liberation,
Yes. Yes, yes. I love that. And, I'm so grateful that you're standing in your truth and that you're here and that you're sharing about it because, part of the purpose of this podcast, part of the whole vision behind it is to make these extraordinary experiences just ordinary experiences. Because like I really feel that something is happening rapidly and that we are the next generation of waymakers, and that's what we're here for. And we need, each other, and we need to utilize the platforms that we have in our collective right now to spread a message of light and love and joy and togetherness and community. And I'm so grateful to have you be a part of mine. And I'm so grateful that you're willing to be a part of the community at IANDS with this podcast. And I feel like maybe we're winding down a little bit. I just want to see if there's anything else that you want to share that would make you feel more complete about this.
Oh my goodness. I already feel so complete and whole. That's the beauty of being my most authentic self. I'm also very grateful. I'm very grateful for you. And I'm also very grateful for IANDS, because IANDS was the first platform that I got to come up and share my story at, and not like just my story of like the human, but like my actual truth. And I got supportive feedback on it, and so and I'm getting chill bumps just thinking about it. I didn't even know IANDS came out of left field for me. I was like, what is this? And I love that you are, you get to be a part of IANDS, to be honest, because that is helping open, it's helped open not just the door for me to come and be like, this is who I am, but like probably a lot of other people. And I do believe that you're right about there is a mass awakening, like an ascension in consciousness, an evolution of our species, of the human being and of the Homo sapien happening right now, and I'm noticing that there's a little divide in people, and not just divide but I don't like talking about polarity and duality, because we're all really one, but like there is this thing that's happening where there's been a lot of people who have decided to just wake up all of a sudden and have questions. And it's like, I just remember when I was going through, I was like, I didn't know where to go. I didn't know I could go somewhere, and I didn't know what it was that was going on either. And so I'm glad that there are these places that people can come, because this is happening. This is not a drill. This is going down, and we get to be like, and that's what's so amazing. Like when they were saying way showers and front runners, I was like, what does that mean? And now I'm like, oh my gosh, I get it, because there's people and they're coming, and we get to all do it together. And so, yeah, I feel complete. I feel whole. And I am happy that I finally do, because it took a little bit to get here. And so, yeah, thanks.
Wow. This has been so wonderful. And I'm looking forward to collaborating with you in the future on this show and making space for other people, especially, I feel so bonded to you in particular, because we both have these amazing stories of transformation. This entire shift in identity, and really standing in the mission of the Great Awakening.
Yes.
And I love that. And I look forward to us collaborating with other people that come onto the show that also feel that calling as strongly as we do.
Yes, yes. And I love that. And I know that you're wanting to end this, but I'm like, I love that somewhere before we came into this reality and into these bodies, we agreed upon what's happening and all of this. And you're like, all the way. What's wild, guys, is that she's all the way in New York and I'm in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's like, you can't make this up. You just can't make this up.
It's amazing. We're everywhere. We're all over, and we come together in this very divinely orchestrated way. And I'm so grateful for you. And yeah, let's end it there. So we'll see you guys next time. Be wavy.